Hello students, a very good morning to you. How are you? I hope you all okay and enjoying your study. So students, today we will continue our topic of class 11 and chapter 11, that is uptake of mineral ions, and the name of chapter is transport in plants. As we are continuing these chapters for many days, I think you all know or you have cleared some concept about this chapter. So let's understand about uptake of mineral ions. Means in the previous classes we have know that how water and food are taken by the plants, means different parts of the plants, and transported to different organs. So here we will see how mineral ions are uptake by the plants, means how root absorb the mineral ions. Before it, you have to understand what is the importance of these mineral ions. As we know that for the overall physical and physiological growth of the plant, many minerals are required by the plant, and these minerals are either taken by in the inorganic form or in some cases it is taken by organic form. So let's understand how it is taken by the plants and what are its importance. Unlike water, which is passively transported by the xylem or absorbed by the root, passively means without using any energy. Here minerals can transported by root through passively. So here you have to understand that unlike water, mineral ions can't be transported passively, means without expenditure of any energy. But here mineral ions require some energy. That's why two factors are responsible for this. As you know that for uptake of mineral ions, two factors are responsible, and the first factor is minerals present in the soil. The factor 1, minerals present in the soil as ion or as charged particles, or we can say as in the form of ions. Ions means, suppose for example phosphorus, sulfur, calcium, nitrogen, they all are charged, so they are called as charged particles. Second factor that it can be transported through passively, always the concentration of ions is more in the root and less in the soil. So let's understand these two factors. Here I have told you that uptake of mineral ions can be occur passively, means for uptake of ions the plants need energy, means in the form of that energy is used in the form of ATP. So what are the factors due to which it can't be transported passively? First factor is minerals present in the soil in the form of ions, means if ions are present, then the opposite charged ions must be present in the root for its absorption. As you know that opposite charges attract each other. So if the positive ions are present in the soil, then the root must contain the negatively charged ions or negatively charged molecules. That's the reason. Second reason, always the concentration of ions is more in root and less in soil. You know that in active transport, clear? In active transport, always the substance is transported from low concentration to high concentration by using energy. So here the root have to absorb minerals from the soil. If the soil has mineral in less concentration, then the root have to use the ATP energy for its absorption. So here we can say always the concentration of ions is more in the soil than more in the root than the soil, due to which active absorption occur in the cytoplasm of the epidermal cell. As you know that epidermis is the outer layer, and just below the epidermis, means inside the cell the cytoplasm is present. So here absorption is occurred by the cytoplasm of the epidermal cell, and cytoplasm contains water, all the mineral ions for the requirement of the plant. So as we know that here active transport occurs, but some ions also present in the soil that are transported passively also. Clear? Here you don't get confused. I have told you for the uptake of ions active transport occurs, but some ions are like such ions which is passively transported. So here we can write that some ions also can be passively transported. Passively transported. So here you know that how uptake of minerals occur, but as I have told you, specific protein membranes are present in the roots. What is their function? You know that the cell membrane is consist of proteins, in some cases lipid bilayers, in some cases carbohydrate also. So here the cell membrane is consist of proteins, and that protein do not allow all the ions. So here you can say the protein layer do not allow all the ions to absorb from the soil. Means they can absorb through the process of osmosis or diffusion. Here they also use the active mode of transportation, means they uses ATP. Clear? So let's understand a next topic, that is uptake of mineral ions. I think you understand. Transport of mineral ions. Here you see how uptake occurs, means how root take it. Then after taking by the root, it transport to the leaf. As we know that in leaf photosynthesis occurs, so these minerals are utilized by the leaves. So the next topic is our transport of mineral ions. Transport of mineral ions. Root hairs absorb the minerals, they send to the main root, and in the main root the vascular bundles are present, means xylem and phloem. It goes to the xylem, and we know that the movement of xylem is unidirectional, and due to the difference in the concentration gradient of the water inside the xylem, the minerals are uptake or transported to different parts of the plant where photosynthesis occurs. That's why here we can say transport of mineral ions occurs through the xylem, and here the most important factor is transpiration stream. Transpiration stream. So what is transpiration stream? As I have told you, after reaching to the xylem, the mineral ions move in upward direction, and during their upward direction, the evaporation or transpiration of water loss occurs, and during water loss there is a difference, or there is a tension is created. Water tension is created, due to which more and more water is absorbed. Through water, other mineral ions are also get absorbed and transported easily to the part which is required, means to the leaf. So here transpiration stream means in a large amount transpiration occur, and at that rate the mineral ion also transported to different parts of the plant. So here we can say the transpiration stream, and that transpiration stream helps in the uptake or transport of mineral ions. Clear, students? Sometimes what happen in plants, I think you don't know. Sometimes in plants the sensitive parts, means some parts get old and they fall off. So before they fall off, the minerals present in them is remobilized. Means suppose you see yellow color leaves and they fall down, after some time they fall down. So before they fall down, the mineral nutrient or mineral ions present in the leaf is transported to the young parts of the plant. Means the minerals will not get waste and that is transported to those parts which parts are required. So here we can say that before senescent or fall down of any leaf, it remobilized or remobilized. Mobilize, you know, mobilize, movement. Remobilize means removement. Means if I have some substance which is not used by me, I can't throw this, I can't waste this, I can give this to anyone who needed it. So exactly in case of plants, what happens? If the part is get old or older, before it fall down, it transported the minerals present in it. And what type of mineral is transported? Phosphorus, sulfur, potassium, nitrogen also. Only calcium can't transported or remobilized. Remember students, these ions are transported except calcium. Means when a leaf fall down, it can't transport the calcium that present in it. Only calcium is the substance or is the ion in the plant which can't remobilized. I think clear that how transportation occurs, and during transportation which minerals are used, mobilized and remobilized. Here I have told you that calcium, except calcium, rest of the mineral nutrients are remobilized to the different parts. Clear? And some amount of sulfur and nitrogen are also transported as in organic form. Organic form. What is that? That is sulfur and nitrogen. Nitrogen is the inorganic form, whereas this is inorganic form. Whereas amino acid is the organic form. Amino acid is the organic form. So here, as we know that nitrogen constitutes amino acids. Clear? So when nitrogen can't transported or mobilized, then it may mobilize in organic form, like in the form of amino acids. So here I have told you about different type of minerals, which minerals can transported and which minerals can't transported, and some are transported in organic form and some are in inorganic form. Most probably it is said that xylem carries, or through xylem inorganic substances are carried. Inorganic substances are transported. Substances are transported. But this is not true. This is not true. Sometimes organic form of ions also transported, but that is in very less amount. But majority of the ions are taken off or transported through xylem in the form of inorganic. But in phloem, it is transformed in the form of organic form. Means phloem transport organic ions or organic molecules, whereas xylem transports inorganic molecule. But this is not always true. Clear students? That's why we can say that there is also exchange of minerals between xylem and phloem. Means xylem sends inorganic ions, that is get converted into organic ion in phloem. So we can say that there is always exchange of ions takes place between xylem and phloem. I think you understand how the mineral ions are obtaken by the plant, which you can understand by taking some examples here which I give you. So the mineral ions may be exchanged between the xylem and phloem. This is the most important line, due to which the inorganic ions get converted into organic ion or organic molecule in the phloem. So both xylem and phloem together carries the organic and inorganic forms of ions. So next we will study about transportation in phloem. So let's understand what is transported in phloem and how this process occurs. So students, let's understand transportation in phloem. In lower classes, you know that phloem transport food. This is in simple terms. But in this class, how this food is transported, in which form the food is synthesized, in which form the food is stored, and in which form it is taken by the different parts of the plant. Clear? So here we will understand that the phloem has 4 elements which help in the transportation, that are sieve cells or sieve tube, which is consist of sieve cells, then your companion cells. They are the most important elements which take place or which take part in the transportation of phloem. And phloem parenchyma and phloem fiber help them in the transportation. So how the sieve tubes and companion cells help in the transportation of the substances. Here you have to understand 2 terms. One is called as source and another called as sink. Let's understand what is source. Source is the area where photosynthesis occurs. This is the area. This is the area where photosynthesis occurs. And sink is the area where food is stored. Food is stored. Remember students, leaf is the source in a plant. As we know that leaves synthesize food. So here source is leaf. And food stored in different parts of the plant like stem, root and other parts of the plant. So sink we can call stem and root. So after photosynthesis, the product form is called as carbohydrate or glucose. We commonly called as glucose is synthesized by plant. But after synthesizing glucose or carbohydrate, that is get converted into sucrose. Get converted into sucrose, which is a disaccharide. Clear? During photosynthesis, glucose is formed but transported to different parts in the form of sucrose, which is a disaccharide. And where does it transported? It transported to different parts of the plant which need energy or which need food. So here source and sink, I think you understand what is source and what is sink and how will you differentiate between source and sink. So there is a relation between source and sink, means they are interdependent. The relation between source and sink means how they are related and helpful to each other. Suppose during when the plant have a lot of leaves, then photosynthesis occur in large amount. More photosynthesis occur and more sugar or sucrose is produced, and that sucrose is used by the plants as well as the rest of the food is stored in different parts of the plant. When during early spring means when all the leaves fall down from the plant, then at that time the food moves. The food moves during the leaves present. They are stored in the region of sink, and when there is no leaves, the plant need food, and again that food is transported from sink to source. Means here we can say source to sink. When leaves are present, when leaves are present and photosynthesis occurs. Photosynthesis occurs. At that time continuously photosynthesis occurs. That's why the glucose is formed and in the form of sucrose it is transported to different parts. But when there is no leaf, the movement is from sink to source. Means if no leaf, then photosynthesis can't occur. Then where does the food come? So here the food is transported from sink to source. Means here there is a relation is created between source, sink and sink, source. That's why we can say that there is a relation between the source and sink, and due to which it is called as pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. Pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis, this may come in 1 mark question. Pressure, what is called pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis? Let's understand. Pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis we can define as pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis means transportation, or this is the mechanism of movement of translocations of sugars from source to sink. Clear? This is the mechanism of, how can you define, this is the mechanism of, this is the mechanism of transportation of sugar from source to sink is called as pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. Clear, students? So how this occurs? As we know that the sieve tubes are long, narrow, elongated structures like this. They are the sieve tubes. And along with sieve tube, there are some companion cells are present. Companion cells are present, and between them some pores are present, due to which the transportation from the outer side to the inner side occur, and they move in upward direction and in downward direction. So here another question comes that through xylem there is only unidirectional movement occurs, means root absorbed and transported towards the leaf. But as we know that food is required by all the parts of the plant, so when photosynthesis occurs in the leaf and the sugar, or which I have told you sucrose, is transported in bidirection, means it goes both towards the upward direction and as well as in downward direction, as food is required by both upper part and the lower part. Clear, students? So in the sieve tube, as I have told you, there are some holes or pores present. They are called as sieve pores. In the sieve tube, the sieve plates are arranged, and during their arrangement there are some pores present which are called as sieve pores, through which the inorganic substances enter and goes towards the, and after photosynthesis they come in downward direction and transported to different parts and reach to different parts also. And how they transport the sugar? Due to cytoplasmic stream. Cytoplasmic stream, you know about cytoplasmic stream. I have told you that cytoplasm is present in the semi-liquid form, and when in the cytoplasm the sugar is present, its movement means due to the concentration gradient and pressure gradient, means high region to low region, always it is transported from the region of high concentration to the region of low concentration by means of cytoplasmic streaming. Here you have studied about transpiration streaming. Here through phloem sugar is transported through cytoplasmic streaming. That's why I am telling you that It is called as cytoplasmic streaming. Next is Giddling experiment. What is called Giddling experiment? Giddling experiment means the how much amount of food is transported, or we can say that the which part of the tissue or to which part of the plant the food get transported. To know this, Giddling experiment is done. So Giddling is, we can say, Giddling experiment Giddling experiment. Why this experiment done? This experiment is done to know the transport of sugar or food, transport of food or sugar. This experiment is so easy, you can also make yourself in your house. That when you cut a part just below the stem, means towards the root, then if the part of root is swollen, then here you will be get confirmed that sugar is not transported to this area, due to which there is a pressure gradient occur in the root. Clear? If you cut the part just below the stem, means towards the root, and if you found that the part is swollen, then from the swollen part you can confer that there is no movement of food occur. Clear, students? So the bark removed in the trunk up to the depth of phloem. In the absence of phloem, food is not translocated downwards. As a consequence, the portion of bark above the girdle becomes swollen after a few weeks. You know about girdle, girth, from girth means radial, and radially bark is present. The bark is removed, the part is cut. After cutting the part, then you can in a few days you can see the part of the root is get swelled. Why that part gets swelled? Because it doesn't get any food, due to which that part gets swelled. It is so simple. So if you want, then you can do yourself this experiment. So students, this is all about your completion of chapter 11. In the next class we will study about chapter 12.